Why did the Soviet Union invade Afghanistan? Have you ever wondered what drove the Soviet Union to invade Afghanistan? The invasion in 1979 was not just a random act. It was rooted in a mix of ideological and strategic reasons tied to the Cold War. The Soviet Union aimed to protect and expand communist influence in the region. At that time, Afghanistan was governed by the Communist Democratic Republic of Afghanistan. This government was facing serious internal challenges from anti-communist groups. The Soviet Union felt it was necessary to step in to prevent the collapse of this regime. Losing Afghanistan would have been a significant blow to the communist movement. Another important factor was the Brezhnev Doctrine. This policy, named after Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev, stated that any threat to socialism in one country was a threat to all socialist countries. The Soviet Union used this doctrine to justify its intervention in Afghanistan, believing it was essential to safeguard the communist government there. The rise of Islamic fundamentalism also played a role. The Iranian Revolution in 1979 had established an Islamic government next door. The Soviet Union feared that, if Afghanistan fell to anti-communist forces, it could become a breeding ground for Islamic movements. This was particularly concerning for the Soviet Union, as it had many Muslim populations in its own Central Asian territories. Geography was another factor in this equation. Afghanistan's location was strategically important. While the idea of accessing a warm water port on the Arabian Sea was sometimes mentioned, it was not the main reason for the invasion. However, maintaining influence in the region was vital for countering Western and Chinese power. Lastly, the invasion was part of the larger Cold War rivalry between the Soviet Union and the United States. The Soviets were wary of the potential for U.S. influence in Afghanistan. They believed that if the U.S. gained a foothold, it could undermine Soviet interests in the region. In summary, the Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan was driven by a desire to protect a communist ally, maintain ideological solidarity, and counter perceived threats from both Islamic movements and Western influence. However, this military action ultimately became a costly conflict that contributed to the decline of Soviet power and legitimacy.